to be flexible and to listen and to open their mind up and to make the changes that are need to be made so you can work it out, then I think that's when you're like, this is a pointless battle. What am I fighting for if the other person's not fighting with me? And I don't mean actually fighting, just for lack of better term. And I think it's important to have, yes, it's important to learn how, when to be able to walk away and say, this is not worth my time. But also, that shouldn't be your solution to every conflict or to every situation. Sometimes, you know, you may be with the right person, they just need time to readjust and time to open up their minds, or time to evolve with you. It's not an easy thing to do. So it's important to be able to be patient with the other person and be calm and understand when it's worth the fight and when it isn't. And especially when you're in a relationship with someone, and even more so if you're living together, you know, the more you are together, the more you live together, the more situations you experience with each other, and new dynamics and new situations that you've never had to deal with together. And so part of it is being able to just talk about the things, get through them, without also giving up way too easily every single time something's difficult, but also knowing how to not make a big deal out of everything, you know, because just when I say also walking away from a situation, it's not only walking away from someone's life, but it's also walking away from this specific situation, saying this is not worth my battle. And to say, you know, Zev and I were talking about this, where, you know, sometimes, let's say we had to go get injections for our trip to Thailand. So he slept over, and this was something new to us. We usually sleep together only on weekends and not during the week when we each have work and whatever. And so we got up, we had to go into town early in the morning and find parking or whatever. And it's this whole new dynamic of, and I'm not a morning person. And specifically that morning, I woke up a bit like overly whatever. But he was able to say, this is not worth my battle right now. I'm not gonna, yes, she's a bit short, yes, she's a bit, you know, being dry to me, but this is just situational and it's gonna pass, and it has nothing to do with me, and it's not something that's happening all the time, and it's not something that she's unaware of. So I'm gonna give her time to relax. I'm gonna give her time to let go of this and then move forward. And in this specific situation, he didn't even have to bring it up later because he didn't think it was so worth it. I brought it up later because I wanted to thank him for being so calm. And I think it's always important to let a person know when you appreciate the way they treat you when you are in a certain mind space. But it was like this thing where he understood, this is just a moment where she needs me to be in control, or to just leave her alone. And then later, when we're both calm, they're just moving on. And if it was something more serious, then he would have brought it up later on when we were both calmer, you know? So it's a matter of being able to say, right now is not worth bringing this up. Right now is just going to create a huge mess and just going to make us both even angrier, and it's just going to make this whole thing blow out of proportion. And I think that helps us prevent a lot of arguments that we could have had.
Yeah, I do that with JT sometimes, and he's also good with doing it with me, where I realize that I was a bit short or a bit harsh or things like that, and so I'll come back and apologize for it, and I'll comment on it. And he's good about doing it as well, when he kind of realizes that he maybe like wasn't his best self, and it kind of diffuses the situation of, instead of acting a way where you think that it's like it's gonna disappear, it diffuses it, and then it's, you know, I'll apologize and he'll be like, don't even worry about it. Whereas if I didn't apologize, it may have like sat with him for a while. And because it wasn't a big deal, like, he's just like, don't even worry about it, instead of It happened like with somebody else a while back where I apologized for this, being, like not being my best self. And this person came back to me and like kind of insisted. And I was just like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, I'm going to apologize, but like, it's not that big. And you want to, you apologize and then it ends it. Do you see what I mean? Like, it pops a balloon. You don't need to add to it.
Yeah, I also think it's important not to get affected by every tiny little thing. Like the person who comes up to you and demands an apology is a person, yes, even if they're in the right, it's a person that is just takes everything way too seriously, way too hard to heart, and they just care way too much about other people's opinions, and they're not, maybe they're not independent enough or confident enough, because when you're comfortable with yourself, when you're confident and independent, and you have this mindset of just letting things go and not holding on to grudges and not being resentful, not to say that you let people take advantage of you, just to say that you just don't take things and blow them out of proportion. So you don't constantly chase other people's apologies. You don't constantly chase other people's like affirmations and confirmation of you being right or whatever it is. And it's just being able to be just confident enough to say sometimes, okay, fine, it's all good.
I have this friend, this guy friend who I don't know, is he a victim of like unfairness? I'm not too sure, but he'll often complain about the way like the people in his life treat him, and his friends treat him, and other things like that, and how I will agree with him, it's unfair, but I will also say things like, I agree it's unfair, but it's not that deep. Like, honestly, just let it go. And he will not let it go, and he will hold on to these things. And so, yeah, you're right. I mean, fundamentally, you're right. It's a bit sucky and it's unfair. But today, he's just on his own.
Exactly. You
He
push
and I,
people away.
yeah, we talk online a lot. We never really see each other. And he's just completely alone. And it's like, yeah, you're right. But, comes back to the thing I tried to say earlier about, what are the consequences? Okay, yeah, they lied to you. They had a gathering, like 3 couples. You weren't invited. They lied to you about it, saying they were unavailable when actually they were doing something without you. Yeah, it's a bit sucky. I agree, it's a bit sucky. It's unfair. But what's the real consequence to that? Yeah, sure, they lied to you. Sure, it wasn't cool. They did something. They went to a restaurant you would have liked to have gone to. Sure, it's sucky. It's unfair. But really, what's the consequence? Like, why are you holding on to this?
How does it impact you?
Yeah, how does it, like really, what's the problem? And, what could you have done different? Maybe you could have voiced it differently, what, and he doesn't see it that way at all. And, the results of that, people are kind of letting him go. So yeah, fine, you're right. But if you're holding on to, how right you are, you're just going to lose a bunch of people along the way.
Yeah, and I think it's also accepting that you can't always see all this, like everything that's going on, especially with other people. Maybe you weren't invited somewhere because it was, I don't know, there was a specific, maybe it was spontaneous, and it was just they were all by chance over there. Maybe there could be 110 different reasons why, and a lot of things that we can't see. And also learning not to take things to heart, not to take things personally, where like, just because your friends are meeting up without you doesn't mean they care less about you, doesn't mean you're any less worthy. It just happens. It's part of life. And if you constantly make a big deal out of everything and constantly try to make people feel bad, then that might also be a reason why they're not including you. But that's definitely gonna be a reason why you won't be included in the future, because no one wants to be around you, because you're pushing people away, because they're scared of saying things around you, they're scared of doing things, of being themselves, because everything is made to be a bigger deal than it has to be. So anyway,
I mean, curious to know what our listeners think, where they fall on, what side they think they fall on, if they think
do you always try to be right? Do you want people to agree with you all the time?
And what are the values
do you want people to challenge you? Yeah, go on.
And how honest with yourself are you about that? Because I think a lot of people say, yeah, I want people to challenge me, but actually when they do, they kind of,
Yeah, no. And you know what? I challenge you to have, I think it's important to have these discussions with people, and to be able to have a debate with someone and each have a different opinion on the matter, and then still be friends afterwards. You know, we had like a lot of my friends, like we have a group of friends that we used to like have these heated debates, and then like once it's over, without anyone actually coming out on top, because we're not looking to win the debate, then afterwards we go on as if, you know, everything's good. Two people were just having like this huge heated argument about this topic, and now it's like as if like everything's good. You'd be able to challenge each other's opinions without having to take it personally and let it ruin your
your
dynamics in your
friendship.
relationship. Anyway,
yeah, how deep, how deep is it, how much does it really impact your life, type of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And see you in the next one.
See ya. Bye
Bye.
bye.